Any questions you need to discuss in the class? Any questions? Has everyone been able to go through the course content for week 2 completely? You can just type in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and speak. Is everyone there? Okay. Radhika Gupta, are you there? Are you logged in? I think she's not at the screen. Okay, so since I think a few more people might be joining in, it's only 7:01 yet. I'll just allow a few more minutes for people to log in. And until then, I hope everybody can come back to the screen, because this is meant to be a live session. It's not a lecture class, it's a tutorial class. So I'm supposed to do only half of the talking. Rest of the half supposed to be by the class participants. So I'm just muting myself for a few minutes to allow people to log in, and all the people who are logged in to please come back to the screens so we can start the class. Okay, so I think it's 7:04. So can we start? Is everyone logged in front of their screens? Because I can't teach unless somebody is actually there listening and answering the questions. I'm going to ask questions and discuss questions. So I can't exactly do that unless people are also there listening and participating. So can you see me and hear me? Please either unmute yourself and say yes, or you can just type into the chat box. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we can see you and hear your voice, ma'am.
Okay, hang on. I think the coming properly for me. Could you just repeat what you said?
Yes, I can see you and
Okay.
I can hear your voice, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah, the sound was not coming properly for me actually. Thank you. So others as well? Is this working fine for everyone?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay, great. So should I start or do you want me to wait for a few more minutes? All right, so I'll start, and in between, if some people join in, I will give them a brief recap. So today's topic is a very, very interesting topic, and it's a very mega project which was undertaken in India by ADC IIT Bombay. And before I get started and I start going over the overall approach used and everything, I first wanted to know if anybody has any questions of their own which they require me to address or answer in today's class. Apart from the questions in your assignment set, of course, I can't answer those today, but any other questions if you have. No questions? Okay, that's wonderful. So, all right. So before we start, can somebody give me a brief idea of what is this solar lamp project all about? What did it eventually achieve? What was the purpose and what did it achieve? What was the vision for the project? I'll come to the approach later, but what was the vision? What were they trying to achieve? And what did they eventually achieve in the stipulated time which they have given in the video? Does anyone want to try answering that? It just sets the context for what we are discussing today, because that is the most important question in this project, actually. From there, we can build the whole thing further. Anyone? I can answer the question, but then that is not the point. I want everybody to try because, like I've said, even in the previous classes, that this is not, I mean, you're checked and you are assessed only in your performance in the assignments. In the teaching lessons, in the TA classes, at least my purpose or hope is that I can discuss the course material in as much detail as you guys need me to, so that you don't have to spend a whole lot of other time for doing the assignments or for writing the exams. So whatever study time you need for this course is practically covered in the TA class itself. That's at least what I want you should get out of this TA class. So okay, let's at least just start with just the objective. Whether the achieved or not, we'll come to that later. What was the objective of this SOL project, the Solar Urja project?
I can try
Yeah, sure.
to reach all most of the rural areas uh, who can not where the electricity is not available and who cannot afford.
Mm-hmm. And, what was the project goal? Like, did they set a goal in the beginning, right? So, what was the goal? Do you remember?
Uh, Mass production, mass no, there is some goals like
They put the numbers in the first video, I think. See, because that
40,
goal is important. If it's just a small project, then we approach it very differently. Whereas if a very large scale project, the problem itself is completely different. You cannot apply the same principles of building, prototyping, assembly, any of that, right? That's why I want to first put that in in context here. That they had an ambitious goal. So there Does anybody else remember what was the goal of the project?
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. May I
Yes.
just ask whether am I at the right place? Is this a class of the innovation, technology, and design? That
Yes. Yes, you're in the right
yeah. So
place.
yeah, okay. This is my first class. Whether I'm not sure whether there was a class before this.
Yes, so this is the week 2. So we have a
Okay.
TA session every week. So I think you were not there in the last
No,
week's
I
class.
wasn't there. That's why.
Yeah. So today we are mostly discussing week 2 content. But if
Okay.
there is anything specifically you would want to ask from week 1 content, we can discuss that as well. So the
Okay.
pattern I follow is generally, I bring a set of practice questions which are not your assignment questions. So you have some assignments which you need to finish weekly for the course, right?
Tomorrow, I guess there is one to be
Yeah, so there is a
submitted.
due date, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
there
I
is.
can't discuss those in the class because those you guys are supposed to answer. I'm not supposed to answer that. But I
Okay.
discuss other practice problems and other practice questions in the class to help you understand the concepts and the principles and everything. And it will also kind of help you answer the questions better.
Okay.
So in the last session also, I had shared a practice problem set. I have uploaded the solution for it, by the way. So in case you guys wanted to check, it's there in the same folder. So do you guys have access, by the way, to the folder? Did you get the folder? NPTEL team has, I think, linked it on the website now. Have you checked that? So last week's video, the YouTube video, as well as the course material which I discussed in the class, the hand and this, I think there's no handout, but the practice problem and the solutions are uploaded in a folder, and all the ongoing content will also be uploaded in the same folder.
I'll get back to that and
So it's there on the platform. Just go and check it now itself if you can see it. I think it's there on Swayam portal. If you have
okay.
registered for it, it will be there on the Swayam portal at the bottom where it says problem solving session July 2023. There is a link there. So that link will take you to a spreadsheet which gives you the link for the folder as well as the link for the YouTube videos.
Okay.
Okay, so if you do not have access, if you have not seen the, has anyone seen the folder which I shared so far? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so I'm just putting the link here um, in the chat.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
So you can see it in the chat now.
Yeah.
But
Got it.
it should be there in the on the portal, Swayam portal as well.
Okay.
All right. So this is where I'll be uploading all the practice problems which I'm sharing in the TA class. All the whatever is there for you guys on the NPTEL and the Swayam portal is already available to everybody, right? The lecture notes and the transcripts and all those things are already there in the Swayam portal. Does this help?
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Can I carry on?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. All right. So I was asking about what was the goal of the project because, like I was saying, depending on the scale of the project, the methodology, the strategy, anything you use will be very, very different, right? So that is kind of why it's important to first remember the goal of the project, right? Does anybody remember? I think so. One more person joined. That's why I was asking. No? Okay. So, since nobody remembers the goal of the project, This was the goal of the project. Does it ring a bell? Does anyone remember now? No? Yes, no, maybe you can answer in the chat if you do not want to unmute yourself and speak. Does this help? Oh, maybe you can't read my handwriting. So 1 million solar lamps in the rural areas in India in 1 year time. So there are two parts to it, which are both equally important. One is that it's 1 million. It's not 1 or 2 or 1,000, 1 million. And the second part is in 1 year's time. So you see, so that sets a whole lot of questions about what would be the most ideal approach for project like this. So does anybody want to get started with what was the approach they did? Where did the thinking come from? What was the thinking behind it? Anything, whatever you remember. Has everybody watched all the 4 videos in week 2? Yes, no. And because I'm just trying to understand how much you guys have gone through already, because if you've not watched everything, then that will explain you not remembering. Okay, you've not watched. So has anybody here watched all the 4 videos?
Yes, I have watched.
Okay, good. Anyone else? Okay, so if you have just enrolled yesterday, then you may take a few days to kind of catch up with the the course content. So that's all right. So I'm just see in this class, my purpose is not to make anybody feel good or bad about something, about not having studied. I'm not here to scold you that why have you not read it or why have you not studied it. That's entirely your prerogative. But I do need to know if you have gone through it or not, so I know how much to explain in the class. Because if you have not gone through all of it, the way I explain will be different from how I would explain if you have actually studied and watched all the videos, right? So that's my only context. So I'm not here to assess you, judge you. That part only happens in the assessment. The class is mainly only for learning purpose. That's all. So there's no right or wrong in the class. So please feel free to speak. Otherwise, your learning will be hampered, right? Okay, so this is a very interesting project. So since everybody has not watched the videos, let me take a few steps back. So this is the entire project. It's called SOUL or SOULS, SOULS. You can see the full form. It is Solar Urja Rural something something. So its main purpose was to take solar power to rural areas in India, and they had set a very ambitious goal in the beginning itself. It was 1 million solar lamps in a time period of 1 year. Right. So that means that it's not that we're going to take 10 years or something. No, it has to be done in 1 year. And the reasoning behind this was that it's there in the first video, of course, but I'll give a quick recap of it. That India is still largely population wise rural, right? Urban population is still not as comparable as with the rural population, and there is a lot of scope for growth in rural part of India. Secondly, not all parts of India have 100% access to electricity, number one. Secondly, clean energy. So let me write this down. So even electricity, like if you see in some of the villages, even the villages which do have electricity, they often do not have power at night, or they get power supply only for a few hours in the day. So at night, they still don't have power. The villages are in darkness. And they don't have access to clean energy in the sense that energy is used for multiple purposes, not just power, not just electricity, but a lot of the people in rural India are still using, biomass and other wood and, leaves and all sorts of things to cook for cooking purpose, and even for other purposes, like, they use all these other sources of energy. They don't have access to clean energy. Clean meaning like which does not have too many emissions, which is not giving out a whole lot of greenhouse gases, all those kind of things. So clean energy and electricity, these are also part of the 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. It's there in the slides. I don't have it here, but I can show you the 17 Sustainable Development Goals if you want to. So, by the way, I'd also recommend that all of you check out the website for the Soul website, for the Soul project. There's a website which is built by the whole team, which gives you a whole lot of ideas about where the project is right now, because these videos were recorded in, I think, 2019 or 2020 or something. So the project has grown a lot since then. So it's very interesting to see the trajectory of the project itself. So, okay, so this is the basic brief of the project. This not very complicated, right? That they want to take solar power, solar energy to rural areas. And the way they want to start with is solar lamps. Now, why solar lamps? There are many things you can do. There are many ways in which you can empower people, in which you can, pull them out of poverty. But one of the best ways of doing that is through education. Education is one of the better or the best ways of pulling people out of acute poverty and many limitations which face just because they're illiterate, right? They don't have jobs. They have limited skills. There's limited kind of work they can do. So the whole project was, in a sense, for empowerment itself, but what kind of empowerment? By pulling people out of poverty, and for that purpose they wanted to go with a solar lamp for people, right? They wanted to take solar lamps to villages in India, so that um, the kids who are in school who are not able to study at night. So this is a very real problem. If you see the videos which Professor Solanki shows in the lecture class, you'll see that a lot of kids, after sunset, they cannot study because they have no power. The whole place is completely blacked out, and they cannot study with that kerosene lamp light and things like that. It's very difficult. You've already always heard of these stories of people sitting under a street lamp and studying, but these people don't have even street lamps to study under, right? So this is a very serious problem, and the fact remains that after studying something in school, the kids in the afternoon or whatever, they might be doing chores, or they might be going and playing, or they're in school the whole day, whatever it may be. Eventually you have to do your own studying after at evening, in the evening time, right? But they can't do that, and they don't have enough. Even if you think of kerosene lamp, it costs a lot to burn so much kerosene every day, right? Or if you think, and that chulha light and all is not like enough for studying purpose. So they decided that they will give solar lamps to people in the villages, and that is how they will enable students, like kids, to study beyond just the usual hours. They can study in the evening as well, and that is the way the project moves forward. So now, okay, let me stop this share. So what was the like one of the things they did in the beginning was that they identified that there are some problems with the way you get solar lamps in the market, especially in rural areas. And because of that, they decided to standardize the design of the lamp. So I'll just share, I think, my screen from here. All right. Mm. Right, you can see the screen.
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, great. So, um, so this is where, this becomes really interesting. This is where the project becomes very unique and very different from, just going and distributing solar lamps in villages and things like that. This is a whole lot more than that. So, usually how does it happen when there is some project like this? Somebody designs a lamp, a solar lamp, and the government decides to just go and distribute it in wherever they decide to distribute it. And that's it, right? There's not a whole lot of thought, there's not a whole lot of planning, and that's why a whole lot of projects don't work. Which is why they kind of went about a very systematic approach, because their idea was not just to give free lamps to everybody, right? Their idea was to actually empower those people, to help their local economy, to help growth in terms of economic growth. And that was, to them, first step was enabling kids through education, and the second step will come to that. Okay, that part is just as interesting, but I don't want to get one step ahead of myself here. So now, how can we, go about it? So one of the ways they decided was to standardize the design of the lamp. So does anybody want to answer why did they design it in a standardized way? It's of course there in the lectures, but since everybody has not watched the lectures, even from common sense, you can think and answer. That they created it in a way that, it is completely standardized, like you have an SOP or something. There are specific parts made to fit specifications, and so it can be built and assembled locally. So what was the reason? What do you think was the good aspect of this standardization in this whole project? Why did it help to standardize? I think a few more people have joined in. So does anybody want to attempt an answer? No, nobody wants to answer. It's not a very difficult question. You can answer even if you've not watched the video, you can just answer from based on what you think. It's fine. It is not really a very thick line between right and wrong in the TA class. There's no wrong and right answer. It's just what is their thinking, what was not their thinking. So just a heads up to everybody who has joined in. The TA class is not meant to be a lecture. It's meant to be interactive. That's why it's meant to be a live session. And this is not like a very technical subject where where I solve equations on the screen and you people just copy them, something like that. This is design, right? This is design, technology, and innovation. And I can't teach you design by solving equations for you, right? I need to make sure you have understood the philosophy, the concepts behind whatever we're trying to do here. And that can only happen when you guys participate. If you don't participate, I can just talk for 2 hours and finish my TA duty and go back, but you will not necessarily get the best benefit out of the class, right? So, which is why I want to encourage you people to answer, because when you answer, I know what's on your mind and I can help you understand things better if it's not clear to you. If you don't answer at all, I can just keep talking and then, I may not be able to address you at all, depending on what you understand, what you don't understand. So what do we mean by standardization of design? This, I think at least somebody can answer.
I can try. Yeah. So they want to make the process simplified so that one unskilled person also can learn it very easily.
Yes, great. Yes, exactly. So that is, it's not only simplified, it is also very clear. Like, they made the design open source. And so that is a way of simplifying it, that they made the design open source, that look, this is the design. This is exactly how it has to be built. And this is the
design which is standard means what? This is only how it is going to be everywhere. It is not that in this village you find this design and in another village 10 kilometers away you find a different design. That should not be the case. So whichever villages are kind of a part of the soul project, they all follow, they all have the lamp of the same exact same design, right? That's what we mean by standardization, that everybody gets the exact same thing with exact same materials, exact same technology, longevity, everything is the same. So is what is the meaning of the word standardization clear to everybody now? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Others? You can at least answer yes or no. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. I think somebody else is left. One or two people have not answered in the chat. All right. Almost. Fabian, Sebastian, what is almost? What part is not clear? Now just tell me what you didn't understand. It's okay, I'll explain.
Yeah, ma'am. Kind of like as someone else said, the need of simplifying and the question given on the screen, why did the design need to be standardized? I mean, I couldn't completely get that. That's why.
Yeah, so my original question was why did the design need to be standardized? But then I realized that I think not everybody is clear on what the word standardization of design itself means. That's why I was asking you guys if you understand what standardization of design itself means first. Because I think I'm not sure if all of you understand that. So do you understand what standardization means first of all? Then we'll come to the question on the screen. Is that part clear to you? Standardization. If not, you can just say yes. And you can say that it's not clear. I'll explain again. So I'm just giving a few minutes in case other people join back. There was some issue with the internet. The person who wanted to ask about standardization of design has not logged in. Okay, unfortunately. Okay, just give me a minute, please. All right, so should I continue? Yes. So what I was talking about was the standardization of the design, first of all. Now, there were several reasons why they wanted to standardize the design, right? Now, since only two of you are there, I think the onus is going to be on you guys. Why do you think they wanted to standardize the design? Then you can just attempt to answer. If I explain it, I can explain it, but I mean, it'll just be repeating everything in the lecture. Okay, so you can do this for your homework. All right, there are some questions. I will add it in the practice questions. Let me see if you have this in your assignment as well. Okay, you don't have it. It's all right. I'll add it to the question paper which I have for you. I want you to try first. That's the thing. So, I can just tell you why they standardize the design, but that will not really help you. So, Vishwadeep, are you there? I don't know if he's logged in properly. He's showing connecting to audio. Yeah, so I think now he's logged in. So, Vishwadeep, can you hear me?
Yeah, right now I can hear this.
Okay, great. So yeah, I was coming back to my original question since some of the other people have dropped off and they have not joined back. So yeah, so what do you think were the reasons for standardization of design?
Yeah, so I can answer that. Yeah, to make the manufacturing process easy, as it is a outsource models, so anyone can take it easily. Here, standardization is to make the manufacturing process simplified, so that it can be massively manufactured in a cheap way.
Okay. I think Fabian Sebastian has joined back in.
Yes, I joined.
Okay, so yeah, coming back to your question. So have you understood what is the meaning of standardization of design?
No, once again, that was what I was asking, and when got disconnected.
Okay, yeah, I could not hear you. I think my internet kind of went off. So standardization basically means, like, say, suppose I have this water bottle, right?
Yeah.
I'm giving this example as just a hypothetical example. So say suppose I'm a startup who wants to manufacture this water bottle. Okay. And this is a design. I have the blueprint for this. I have all the material specifications for this. I have the cap needs to be exactly cut like this. The threads of the cap need to be exactly precisely in this position. Now, once I've specified all those things and I kind of say upload the design on the internet, anybody can download it and build the bottle with the materials which I have specified, right? Then what happens? You will be able to produce this bottle, exactly the same bottle, in huge numbers, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Otherwise, say suppose I've not uploaded this design or I failed to specify this part, right? I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
This bottle, this rubber has these markings here, which kind of make it easier to grab it and open it. Otherwise, the hand slips here,
Okay.
right? I'm just telling you as a design specification, for example, right? This cap, if you open it like this, it's much easier because of these rubber markings.
Yeah.
Now, say suppose I don't specify that in the design, and somebody wants to build this bottle somewhere. Even if the same company, some other manufacturing place, they want to produce this bottle, their cap will not have these markings and it'll be a poorer design, right? And
Yeah.
say suppose I have bought this bottle, for instance, maybe I break this cap. The next time I go to the market to buy this cap to replace it, I don't get the cap like this. It's a different one. It doesn't have these markings now. I don't like the design, right? Or it doesn't work well. I break the bottle because it slips from my hand. Right. So what happens is that when you don't standardize the design, there are going to be like 50 types of products in the market for that. That is a problem which Professor Solanki points out in the lecture, actually, that because of the solar technology itself is available everywhere. So if you search for solar lamp, you will find like so many designs of solar lamp on the internet, right? So if you give people all these different designs of solar lamps, they will have the solar lamp. But then afterwards, if they break something or if something is not working or if they want more of the same item, they can't get it, right? There is no continuity of the product. That's the problem which he was talking about, which is why a lot of these projects don't scale. Say suppose you produced 20,000 at one go lamps, right? Now the next batch is different, produced somewhere else by somebody else using some other material, some other design specifications. The next batch of 20,000 is something else. And there's no clear tracking of which item A, B, C is going where, right? So the person who got item A first, if they want to repair the thing, there is no availability for the the spare parts or the other things, or even a person who knows how to repair it. They don't have that. So what happens? The person uses it for 6 months and then again they're back to zero, back to square one. They still don't have a lamp. Are you getting me? Are you able to follow me?
Yeah.
Okay.
But may I ask, in the case of the spot, if you're saying that the standardization also can be there will be, I mean, better standardization for the same thing. So standardization is highly subjective, or it doesn't have a specific thing to be what this is standardized thing or this isn't the standardized thing. So it's just subjective, right?
No, it's not subjective. It's very, very structured, very, very objective thing. So there'll be a blueprint for this.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Okay. Yes, there'll be a blueprint for this cap, which has this. Okay, what's your background?
Right, the education you're asking.
No, I'm asking your background. What did you study before?
Journalism.
Journalism. Okay, that's why. So if you come to the world of engineering, in
Okay.
engineering drawing, even in architectural drawings, when you manufacture a product, right? When you create a new product and you need to give it for production, you don't just give them a drawing to produce it, right?
Okay.
You give them a proper blueprint, a technical drawing, okay? Even this angle at which this thing is curving, right? For example,
Okay, yeah, I can see.
this angle, this slight angle is there. There's a curve here like this. It's not a straight cut. It's like this. This
Okay.
angle, what is the angle for this? How much this has to be rounded? At what intervals these slits sort of things have to be made on the top cap? All these things are specified in the drawings. What material, what grade rubber, what grade plastic, from where it is procured, what color is used here, what markings will go here. All
So
of these things
my
are standardized.
my
Yeah.
doubt is there can be a load of other water bottles which have got certain other specifications which can also call be standardized. So it's up to the user who uses it.
So we'll come to that part. I'm talking, I gave you this as an example. That's why I said it's a
Okay,
hypothetical
okay,
example. Don't
okay.
mix this with the solar lamp.
Yeah, okay,
I'm
sure.
using this as an example to tell you what is standardization,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I have to show you some object. I can't draw in the air, otherwise you won't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So
sure.
I don't go into the market of water bottles because that's not a product. A product is something very different. So this water bottle is just an example for telling you what standardization means, because you don't
Okay,
understand what it
yeah,
means,
get it,
right?
I get it.
Now come to the solar lamp. The
Okay.
problem with the solar lamp is completely different from the problem of the water bottle.
Yeah.
Water bottle is going into a market where people are not dying of thirst, right? If I don't have this water bottle, it's not like I'm going to die of thirst.
Yeah.
I'll just use something else. I'll use a tumbler or I'll use some other cup, right? But in our case, the solar lamp is solving a very real problem of very real people whose lives depend on it, right? It's a different kind of a product. It's entering a very different kind of a market. And the purpose of this product is not just to, give light. Of course, that's the primary purpose. But they also want to revive the local economy and empower the children in that local economy so that they can actually carry forward their education, complete their education, and have a better prospect, have better prospects for their future, right? So the purpose, it's in standardization is one aspect of it. Open source is the second aspect of it. They are two different things. This company will have a standardization for the design, but it's not open source. It's their intellectual property, right? It's not that I can go to this website and download the design and build my own bottle. I can't do that, right? Because it is copyrighted, not just copyrighted. It is a protected intellectual property. But in the case of the solar lamp, what they did was they made it into a very, very simple design and they standardized it. And then they also made it open source so that anybody, anywhere can actually just download that design, procure those materials as per the specifications, and they can manufacture it if they want. right? And then they also give training for that. We'll come to that later. Let me first clear the first step. But that's like, the two unique aspects of this project where they made the design standardized and they made it open source. And then they started involving the local community. So the problems I was explaining earlier, I think you had not logged in. So what I was explaining was that, say, suppose, you have a lamp, but now in the market for solar lamps, there are like 10 different designs of lamps, right? You bought one of them. Okay. In the market, you have 10 options. You bought one lamp. Now that lamp works fine for 6 months. Now, after 6 months, say suppose the bulb is gone or some other part is not working. Now you go to the shop and he doesn't have that lamp anymore. You like that particular lamp, or that particular lamp is what is affordable for you, whatever reason, that is the best one, but you don't have, it's not available anymore. And there is nobody who can repair it. And there are no spare parts also available. So what happens? It's back to square one. The person is left with no lamp again, right?
Yeah.
So after 6 months, the problem is again unsolved. You solved it only for 6 months, right? And that is not the purpose of the project. So there needs to be some continuity in the availability of the product for it to be actually sustainable and for it to, really take a hold in a particular locality or in a particular region. So is this part clear to you so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question here.
Yeah.
Why they made it open source? Like, no, it is for that anyone can manufacture and produce that part. But what if someone take advantage of that?
What advantage will they take?
Some big company will produce a lakhs of, and they can sell it by their own. Just as a thought,
So there are many, these are like all in the fine prints of copyrights. I'll have to check exactly what copyright they have used. So there are, I mean, they want people to build the lamp, right? This is not a profitable, I mean, this is not a for-profit commercial venture, right? This is a non-profit venture in which they want more and more people to build the lamp, they want more and more people to have access to clean energy. Right, in a profitable venture, in a for-profit commercial, what you want is
no,
that
someone can make it commercial wise, and this lamp is a good quality lamp. He mentioned 1 watt lamp, and it's very flexible. So in our market also, we find this kind of lamp from another manufacturer. So maybe that is imported from China market or something. Maybe I have no idea. But so like that, if someone starts selling and commercialize that design, how means anyone
So
can do
firstly,
that.
I think they might have some legal, laws protecting that, because there are many clauses in which you make your work available, and people can use it for their purpose, but they can't make money out of it. So that's a clause. There are different levels of copyright and intellectual property protection. So I don't know if that is there for them, but I think they would have some sort of a legal clause to that, first of all. And secondly, even if somebody else manufactures it, they will struggle to firstly keep the cost low, and if they don't keep the cost low, if they keep the cost high, people will not buy the lamp because there's another one available at a lower cost, right?
Yeah, that can be one more.
Yes, so
decision.
you have a good question, of course, and it is possible. Yeah, so they have actually, I don't know if you've seen have you seen all the 4 videos?
Yes.
So in the last part, he has actually talked about it, how they, how they try to prevent this, what do you call this, corruption. Why is this not? Some more people are joining in. So in the last part, they actually talk about how they prevent corruption. I haven't reached the last part yet. I can still answer, but I wanted to go sequentially first.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
if that is fine with you. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can talk it in last.
Yes. I mean, I'm very happy that you're at least thinking in that direction and you're thinking forward. It's the right line in which to be you are thinking. But he has answered it in the end, and like the purpose of the project is different. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So let's say suppose somebody like builds a lamp using that drawing. They want people to do that. So if you see this project in the website, and I think he even talks about it in the end, they train like 1 million people to build that lamp.
Yes.
And right, so they want people to use that technology, which is very different from an Amazon or an Apple building an iPhone. Right, there are two different types of products in two different types of markets with very different goals for the project or for the product. Non-profit is very different from for profit. See, because they are giving you the design, but you still need to buy the materials,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You still need to pay for the labor or spend your own time and energy on it. You still need to learn the skills for making the lamp,
Mhm.
right? So you still do have to bear some cost of it, right?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
have found many, I'm just coming to that part. So they found many ways to reduce the cost. So, okay, actually, that is exactly where I was. Let me see if the screen share will work on this internet.
No, what in the video I get to know is that the total cost is coming as 500, and some part is where by
Wait, well, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. So, first of all, which parts of the solar lamp are not made in India? The components.
the circuit, no, the LED light and the
And
battery.
the battery, right? Good. Okay, so now what was the first step of reducing the cost of the lamp? How did they first decide to change the design of the lamp so that you are so that you are reducing the somehow the cost of the product itself? What did they do for that?
Initially they start importing, but later they try to make it by their own local manufacturing.
No, that is one part of it that comes later. But what was the first step? They changed the design first of the lamp. What did they do to change the design? Do you remember?
Maybe power they reduced.
Why? Why did they reduce the power?
That more power is not required for that purpose, and that will
Which
be wasted.
purpose?
No, for means initially they have the solar lamp which has more power, means more amount of energy it is taking, and it is wasting, and in that case it is
No,
sufficient.
that was not the reason. It was they weren't saying that it was wasting the energy. It was not being like fully utilized, and also like that was not the reason. Was being so okay. So initially, what they were doing was that they had a lamp, and they used it, in the usual way, like how you hang lights from the top in a room, right? In a typical village, in a typical hut, they don't have pakka walls everywhere, so they just hang the holder from the ceiling and they fit the lamp into it, right? And that is how they had built it earlier. Now the problem with that was that the lamp was casting a big shadow of its own, right? And it was not working properly. But that was that was a different issue. The other thing was then they made to solve that issue. What they did was they changed it into like a sort of like a portable lamp, right? That was solved by that. But that is not how they reduce the cost of the lamp. That was just better functionality of the lamp. To reduce the cost of the lamp, they changed the design based on one very small aspect of it. So the design so far, like the lamp so far, was being used for multiple purposes by people. Right? So the till then people were using it for cooking, for going to the fields, for of course for studying, for doing their chores like cleaning the house, milking the cows. Everything in the world was like doable with the lamp, right? Now they felt like they wanted to address a very specific need of the user base, and they felt like they cannot satisfy all of these requirements, so they identified just one requirement which they thought they should solve perfectly, and then they should adapt the design of the lamp for that one particular purpose alone, and that purpose was education, studying. So they decided that they will make the lamp only for studying purpose. I think that's you were kind of hovering around the answer, you were very close to it, but you were somehow not putting your finger on it. So that was the main thing which they did, because of which they reduced the power of the lamp to 1 watt. Because for studying purpose, that much was kind of enough. They didn't need more power than that. In that much radius, if somebody sits and studies under the lamp, that was sufficient for studying purpose, and that would kind of reduce the the energy requirement, that would reduce the cost of input materials, and that would eventually of course reduce the cost of the lamp. So that is how this solved um, one part of the cost equation. What was the other part? How else did they reduce the cost of the lamp? Anybody else wants to try? No? You can take a minute to think. I think 2-3 people joined, logged in, and then logged off. Biswati and Fabian, you guys want to try? What other things did they do to reduce the cost? Okay, you can just think from common sense point of view also, what else can you do to reduce the cost?
One is standardization of the design. Yeah, that's already we discussed.
So standardization doesn't reduce cost on its own. It leads to something else. It makes something else easier, because of which the costs get reduced. What is that?
Getting the raw materials in cheap rate can be one solution, but might be not possible. Might not be possible.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Can you repeat that?
So the production cost should be reduced. So getting the raw materials in cheap, finding it from a source where it can be available in cheap,
Like where?
like there is unanswerable.
They imported that LED from China or some other countries, or maybe. Yeah, in that way, maybe that is one point.
Yes. So one part of it was, of course, that all the materials kind of used in the lamp are are procured locally. Okay, that was an important part of it. And what is the other aspect of it? I mean, there are two materials which cannot be procured locally.
Yeah.
You were saying something earlier. Yeah, say again.
Yeah, so that battery and that LED is not available, or cannot be made cheap in locally. So they bring it from outside and which reduces the cost in that way.
Yes, that is correct. But they did something else also. What else did they do apart from just the raw material? So I think what you're trying to say, but you're not exactly pointing out, is that they obtained all the raw materials locally. The others, the two items which are imported, but all the other raw materials are locally procured. So how did they ensure that they are like that consistency in materials if they're going to be locally sourced? Because it has to follow a specification, right?
Yeah, right.
So won't it change if you're sourcing it locally? So what they did? No, okay, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, yeah, they made it, no, check some quality assurance of all the material.
No, that's not what they did. So what they did was that they selected only a few blocks. So in India, you have states, and then you have districts, and then within districts, you have a few blocks. Each block has maybe 50 to 100 villages, all close by to each other, right? So they decided that they will roll out the project only in a few blocks, which means that they're, say, suppose if they select one block or two blocks, whatever, they're distributing it and they're rolling out the project only in those 50, 100 villages, which are all clustered close to each other, right? So they're all in close vicinity of each other, right? So it's very easy to procure materials in bulk locally and then manufacture it locally. Is this making sense?
Yeah,
Yeah, ma'am, and also I think with the same thing, if it's procured locally and it's been done in the same place, there the transportation charges, the
Yes.
intermediate people, the marketing, all this can be reduced at a very great level because the transportation and the other costs in intermediate costs are gonna be very high if you're planning something else, or even importing, or if you are doing at a higher level, it will be very high cost of the other factors like transportation, the intermediate, everything.
Yes. So there's a third component to it, which I think we have not discussed till now, but which is an important part of the project, which is labor. So if they produce and if they're able to assemble it in these villages, their labor costs will come down drastically because you have so much labor available. Like there's so much unemployment, people are looking for jobs. They're giving them a job, they'll be happy to do work, right? So you are getting local labor, and once you train them, like they can keep on making more and more of these lamps. You don't have to, like, we don't they don't need anything special after they have once been trained. Like, then they can train other people also. So that is the part of the project which actually helps the local economy to grow and strengthen, right?
Yeah.
So this is so what they did was they created certain manufacturing centers in these blocks in which they gave employment to many of the all the local people. They gave them training on how to assemble it, and the design was very simple. It's not that complicated. So they explained everything. These same people, they did the whole assembly, everything. They did all the checks on the circuits and all that, which is a very big thing because many of these people are not even fully literate. So they are actually getting work. They're getting training for work, and they're getting work, and they're getting paid. They're making money, right? So they will. Why will they not do it? And because it's local people, you can actually reduce the labor cost a lot. Because if you manufacture it somewhere in the city, the labor cost will be much higher, right? If you're manufacturing it in the village itself, the labor cost will be much lower. It's just how labor wages go, right? So
Yeah.
this is the other part of reducing the cost which was very important, which is that they rolled out in certain locality, in, I mean, in a certain region, in within a district, and in a process they empowered the local economy by firstly allowing them to assemble and build the product, and secondly distribute it also. So if you've seen any of the videos, let me see if I can find that video. That video at least might be nice to watch. Not sure if that video is available somewhere. So basically, even the distribution, like even the distribution of the lamps is done by all the local people. So the distribution is like you see some slightly older kids, they are trained on how to distribute it and how to sell it, because it's not being given for free. They still have to buy it. So that distribution is also not through shops, initially at least. So that distribution channel is through schools, because the target audience is children who will use it for studying purpose, right? That was the main objective of the solar lamp. So the people who should be buying it will be, where will they be concentrated, and where will they be uh, gathering? In schools. So they will obviously have a better chance of getting it and buying it in a school. So they distributed it also in school, so thus they also reduced some of their other expenses of trying to find and market and the product and all of that, because they're going directly where the buyers are. So there's like very little promotion and very little other things they need to do. I mean, they still did something, but not like not that full-fledged marketing which you need to do to for your buyers to even find out about you, right? That's itself is it's a big part of this whole any kind of a product launch. So any questions so far? Is this much clear?
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, the last part was that the sharing of the cost between CSR funding and the government and the buyer. So the whole product itself is not free. They didn't want. I mean, this is a part of actually basic social science, that if you give something to somebody for free, they don't value it. They don't really use it properly. They throw it, they get too many. If it's free, they may try to sell it, they may try to you know misuse it or something, like use it for purposes for which it is not meant, and then ruin it. And because they think they can always get a new one. So they did not want people to have that, and there's an entitlement effect, which is this is not covered in your lectures. I'm just telling you because this is a very common thing in social experiments. The entitlement effect is when if you give something to somebody for free, the next time they won't want to buy it. They'll feel like it should always be given to them for free. And this happens very often in social science experiments and things like that. So they didn't want to give it for free. Basically, they wanted it to be something which people kind of work for, and they've subsidized it enough for anybody to be able to buy it. So like if you if you want to spend, if you're educating your child, then you should be able to buy a lamp for 120 rupees, right? So how much do you think solar lamps cost in the market, by the way? What is the market price of solar lamps?
Varies according to each companies or each specifications, like maybe of a
Okay.
battery life, maybe of the company branding, maybe of the
Okay,
quality.
tell me a range. So, I mean, you can tell me the range in which it falls. This much to this much, for this much, for this much watt lamp, or this type of lamp.
I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe 1,500 for one. Like, I'm not sure.
Yes, so the range is from 500 to 1,000 rupees or 1,100 rupees, depending on the power. It kind of, how much wattage is, and how big the battery is, how good quality it is, and what kind of a design is it? Is it like, is it the tabletop type of light, or is it something which needs to be mounted outside? Does it have any other special requirements, like, because it's a solar lamp, so you need to kind of charge it also. You need to sort of leave it in the sun for it to charge. So that's the usual price for a solar powered lamp in the market. Right? If you want, you can check it on Google or Amazon or wherever you like. So I'm just actually looking at these other designs, and I think the one they have made is really one of the best, because all these other designs are really not that portable or that flexible, or of course that cheap. So if you are getting a lamp for 120 rupees, you should be able to buy it. Because it's actually, it doesn't have any other running costs as such. See, that's the other thing. It generates its own power. So you don't have to pay anything in the future for, sort of like, if you put a lamp here, if you put a bulb here, it needs electricity, right? You still are spending something, whatever that something might be, on that after you buy the bulb, which would itself be like anything from 100 to 500 rupees. But this is like something, once you buy it, it will just go on running. It may need some maintenance, some repair once in a while, but apart from that, it'll just keep on running, right? So it's a lifelong solution in a sense, right? So you're not only just reducing the cost of the lamp in the beginning, which is 120 rupees, but by making this thing like, self-contained item, and also by making that, making sure that the product is available continuously, there's a continuity in availability of the product. What you're actually achieving is that there is the life cycle cost, or the lifetime cost to the user, to the buyer, is very, very low, right? You just pay 120 rupees one time, and after that, maybe for some repair you need to spend some money or something, but even that can't be too high, because even the manufacturing cost is only 500 rupees, right? So even if you're repairing one part of it or replacing one part of it, how much will it be? 50 rupees, 100 rupees, not more than that, right? So, and that is also like if it does not work, but they have actually built it as a very sturdy lamp, very flexible lamp. So it's not that, it's not that it will just break in 5 days or something like that. And they have quality checks, they have people doing quality checks. So it's designed to be used in a rural environment. It's a lot of people, actually, I don't know if this is even mentioned in the lecture, but a lot of people forget that the cost of the product is not just the cost of the product. There's also a running cost of the product. Many products, especially something which is related to energy. But in this particular lamp, the running cost is very close to zero. If you're lucky, it might be zero itself, right? So, okay, so now going forward from here, I will just, actually, so far I meant to share the questions, but because I wasn't sure if you have gone through the whole content, I did not share the questions. But I think I will take this forward with the questions from here, since I think that at least an overall idea of what the project is, what was the need, all that has become clear to everybody, right? How did they approach it? Okay, so the first question is like, what did Professor Solanki identify as the primary problem with most solar programs? What do you think? If you want, you can type in the answer in chat first, or you can just unmute and answer. Anybody wants to attempt? You can read the question. I'll give you a few minutes. So what was the problem with solar programs?
Is it lack of consumer interest?
Is that your answer? You can think for a few minutes. So these questions are important. Okay, so don't ignore it because only I'm discussing it in class. Because these are, I try to pick most of the questions, at least most of them, which are kind of more conceptual rather than factual. So if maybe in this language, not in this language, you may be asked these questions somewhere in the exam or wherever. Why do you think it's lack of consumer interest?
Because of maintenance issue.
Maintenance issue, okay, but they're not, there's no lack of interest in buying the product, right? They have a problem with it because they're not able to maintain it, but they do have a need. When this here in this answer, what they mean by lack of consumer interest is lack of consumer interest in solar projects altogether, a solar lamp altogether. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I actually answered this in the beginning of the class. You can think and revisit your answer.
Yeah, there is that is competition with other energy sources.
Okay, why competition with other energy sources? Why do you think it's competition with other energy sources?
Mm.
If they had competition with other energy sources, they would have multiple options, right? For solar lamps. But they don't have any light at all at night.
Yeah.
They don't have any power at all. They are using solar because solar does not require a grid, it does not require wiring, it does not require anything else in terms of electrification or energy or burning something. So solar is convenient, but they don't have energy at all. So how will they have competition with other energy sources? So I explained this in the beginning that earlier what he uses is this expression of the mechanism of buy and sell. Right, that somebody somewhere manufactures a lamp in certain quantity, like 20,000 or 15,000, whatever, and they just sell the whole stock to maybe one or two sellers, and these sellers buy it, and they just go and sell it to the consumers. And that's where the cycle ends. There is no continuity, there is no maintainability. So whatever you were saying, that they had issues with maintenance, with buying the same product again, those are all issues which are coming from this model of buy and sell. That's what he's explained in the video. You understand now?
Yeah. No.
Right. So when this term buy and sell may not be like self-evident, it's not like a very commonly used term, but that is the term he's used. Maybe it's a management term or something. When they say buy and sell, what they mean is that, like, you know, the people buy it in certain stock, like if 15,000 units are manufactured, they will buy 5,000 at one go, and then they go and sell it to the consumers. So they're just buying and selling. They're not doing anything other than that, right? They're buying the stock and they're just going and selling it through shops or through other distribution channels. And that's all they're doing. They're not providing maintenance. They're not providing, other um, things like replacing parts. They're not providing the same product also later. So I suppose those 5,000 units are sold in maybe in 6 months, 1 year. Say suppose we managed to sell those 5,000 units, and all the other 10,000 which were produced are also sold in other places by other buyers. Then that's it. The next batch is something different. The next batch of product they buy, maybe some other solar panel, a solar lamp, right? The same seller may buy a solar lamp again after those 5,000 are sold, but he may buy some other design of solar lamp from some other supplier, some other producer. And then he will come and sell that. The next batch is, say, suppose design, first batch is design A, next batch is design B. He is selling design B now in 3,000 units, say, suppose he bought. And then once that 3,000 is over, he goes and buys some other solar lamp, which is design C. So they're all different things in the market, and the consumer is not able to actually maintain them, right?
Yeah.
Is buy and sell clear to you now?
Yeah. No.
Okay, cool. Okay, so what was the primary purpose of solar urja lamp?
It's study purpose.
Study purpose, right? Great. Okay, so which of the following is not a challenge mentioned about technologies reaching people? So I'm also uploading these questions, the practice questions in this week's folder now itself. So if you want, you can read it. So I'll just give you a few minutes to read the questions. Okay, if you want, you can check the folder. I've uploaded the questions. Just take a few minutes, just read the questions, and then I will discuss it one by one. So are you able to see the document? In week 2 folder.
Where I can find it in.
Okay, so I have put it in the chat again. This is the folder. So you can just go to this folder. I have uploaded last week's assignment, practice question set and solution also. And this week's problem set also uploaded there.
Yeah, now I find it. Yeah.
Okay, so you can just open it on your own system and you can just see, read the questions for a few minutes. And then I'll continue to discuss it.
Okay, the current question, what we discussed, right?
Yes, I mean, if you want, you can read some of the others also, because I think I'm continuously talking, so you're not getting
Yeah.
proper time to read. So I'm just giving you a
No.
few minutes to just read the questions, just go over it and think. Like, I think Fabian, are you there? I don't know if he's still there. Fabian, Sebastian, are you there? Okay, he's probably not at his screen. So just read the questions for a few minutes and I'll start talking again then.
Okay.
Okay, done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I continue with the?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, okay. So, which of the
Question number-
following is not a challenge mentioned about technologies reaching the people? Question number 3. What do you think is the answer?
For this, I have before 3, which is not mentioned.
Sorry, say again.
No, means I cannot recognize the answer here.
Okay, so we discussed this earlier also. Like, so for example, like many of the products in the market right now, the solar lamps, they cost, we just discussed, right? That this cost like 500 to 1,000 rupees. So do you think a person in a village will be able to afford that?
No, no.
No, right? So product is expensive is a problem because they don't have products in the, in the budget range, which is kind of affordable for them, right? That's one
But
problem.
it's written not a challenge mentioned.
Sorry?
No, in the question it is written as
Yes,
not a
yes. So
challenge.
I'm just asking. So that is a challenge, right?
Yeah, product is.
Yeah, we'll come to which is not a challenge. First, I'm trying to agree upon which ones we think already are a challenge, right? That is a
Yeah.
challenge. Okay. So do you think lack of technical support is a challenge?
It's already they have achieved with giving a proper teaching to the locals. So I think technical support is also not a challenge. They have successfully learned the processes.
Who has successfully learned?
The means the village people.
No, they are talking about technologies reaching people in general, not this project. That's why I was asking about product is expensive also, right? The solar lamp of Soul project is only 120 rupees. They're talking about other general challenges which are faced when you take technologies to people. See, read the question well. That's why I told you last time also, all of you, that you should always read the question properly because many times you may think the question is about something, but it is actually about something completely different. So the question is not saying which of the following is not a challenge mentioned about Soul project. The question is saying which of the following is not a challenge mentioned about technologies reaching people. Right?
Yeah.
So do you think lack of technical support is a challenge with technologies reaching people in general?
No.
Why do you say no?
We have technical support for each and every product.
So
in the
then why are
market.
people not buying solar lamps? Didn't we just discuss this? For even if you don't talk about solar lamps alone, even if you talk about other technologies, there are so many products for which they don't know how to repair it. If you go to a village and there is no, car service center anywhere, and your car breaks down, what will you do? You go to some remote village somewhere.
Yeah, we go to local mechanics.
Yes, but say suppose he doesn't have, and that is very common. If you go to some remote areas, it's a very real problem. If you drive to some rural parts, there is only so much repairing you can do on your own, right?
Yeah, right.
What will you do if your car breaks down? The nearest service center or service station is 10 kilometers away.
Yeah, then no option to
No
push
option,
it.
right? If you have a laptop, you take a very fancy laptop, you go to the village and your laptop crashes, what will you do?
Yeah, there is if there is no option, I need to take it back again 100 kilometer or 200 kilometer.
Yes. So then why are you saying that there is lack of technical support is not a challenge? They're talking about technologies in general reaching people, and in this particular case, we're talking about people in cities already have technologies. We are not talking about people in the cities. We're talking about people outside cities. It's not easy for technologies to reach people because they don't have technical support, right? So it is a challenge.
Mhm.
Is this clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. What else? Do you think continuity of availability is a challenge or not?
Yeah, this is also a challenge.
Okay. What about the next one? Oversaturation in the market?
No, this is not.
This is not a challenge. Okay. And E? E is not true, right? Because we already said
Yeah.
something is not a challenge.
Mhm.
So D is the correct answer then, right?
Yeah, right.
The
B is the
oversaturation
correct.
in the market is not a challenge to take technologies to people.
Okay. B.
Okay, all right. Question number 4. What is the answer as per you?
It's it's in between A and B. For me it is
Okay, what about A? Why do you think this is the objective?
understanding the need of the community and provide external aid. This is one uh, objective.
But what aid are we giving? What is the aid?
We can like this solar project, we can do some research, come up with good products, and we are giving it to the society. So it's
No,
a
but where
kind
is
of,
the aid in that? The question, the answer says understanding the need of the community and provide external aid. How are we giving aid to them?
no, it's not a direct.
So when we say aid, we are not talking about indirect. Aid means the aid has a very specific meaning in the world of social sciences. Okay, so when you say you're giving aid to somebody, you are giving them money. It does not mean that you're giving them other livelihood or you're giving them products or something like that. External aid means giving them money. Okay, so
Yeah.
are we giving them aid?
No.
No. And external, when we say external, we mean from outside India. So this project has collaborations with institutions, with colleges outside India, but are we getting funding from outside India? Is any other country sponsoring this project?
No, I don't think so. No.
No, right? So then we are not giving them external aid, right?
Okay. Yeah, right. So so it's B.
Okay, then coming to B, why do you think B is the answer? We are
So
learning the needs of rural India, but what are we doing after that? We're already giving them the product, right?
yeah, right.
So then how is B the answer?
Yeah, half part is true and half part is a little bit confusing. So
Yes, so read the whole option, right? So you can't say that the option is correct by reading only half of it. You're reading only half the sentence in both the options, right? In the first question also, you just read understanding the need of the community and you said, okay, that's the correct answer. Then in this question also, you just learning the needs of rural India and you said, okay, that's the correct answer. You have to read the full sentence. It's one sentence. It's not even two sentences, right? So then
yeah,
tell me, is B
then
correct?
no, it's not. It's not.
Okay, next one, C.
Yes, C is what we already through generate employment and create a solar
Right. Okay.
market.
And D?
No, this is not. This is wrong.
Okay, good. Now you're reading the whole sentence, right? Okay. Okay, next question. I think Fabien Sebastian has left the screen. He's only showing as logged in, maybe to make me feel better, but he's not there at all. Fabien Sebastian, are you there? Do not, he's not answering. All right, so we have only 3-4 questions to go, and we can end the session after that. So fifth
Yeah.
question.
So it is. mm, it cast bigger shadows of itself and had maintenance problems.
Yes, good. Why not the other 3? What is wrong with the first one and second one?
It means it's not so heavy so that it cannot be carried.
Right, exactly.
And aesthetically beautiful is not a functional thing.
Right. And it was not an issue. So he's asking, the question is asking, the solar lamp initially had the following issues, right? So it is an aesthetic product, but that was not an issue with the lamp. You understand? You have to look at all parts of the question. So it may have been aesthetically beautiful and it looks like, it may even look like a premium product, although it is not stated anywhere in the video, but that even if it is true, that is not an issue with the product, right? That's not something which was problematic. It's good if it is beautiful, right? Okay, and the last is it could only be hung from ceiling and not placed on the table. That is also not correct because they did design it again and then they had issues with that design also, right? Okay,
Right.
great. Okay, question 6. This might be a little bit tricky, so I will let you answer. You watched the last video in Professor Jayendran's part. I think it's not the last video, maybe the third video or the first part of the fourth video, because this part is kind of like, specific to what he has discussed in that video. I'll have to explain. I mean, I will explain this. If you don't understand it, I will explain this in the next class. We have only 15 minutes left. If I start explaining this, it will take a long time. So I had hoped that we will reach here a bit sooner, but it's okay. So in this question 6, I'm leaving for now, but I want you to please watch that video, Professor Jayendran's part, where he's explaining all the decisions involved in the SOL project. And then you tell me what is the correct answer. And then if you think that you're not clear on this question, we will discuss it the first thing in the next class. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Question 7. This is the question you are asking actually. So yes, we can discuss this now. So what do you think is the right answer here?
Yeah, but it is the answer D, by spreading awareness and advertisement about the ability of the lamp to work.
Which option are you saying? Sorry.
D.
D. Okay. Anything else? There can be more than one correct also. Have you read all the options?
Yeah, the option A is also correct. Within a short
Yes,
period.
good. You've understood this now. So see, what they did was that what happens with corruption is that somebody may buy it and then they may want to resell it to somebody. So for example, like if you're in a village A, and in village B the product is not available yet, people who buy it in village A may want to go and sell it in village B for a premium, like for at a markup. So if you buy it at 120 rupees, they may want to go and sell it in village B at 150 rupees.
Yeah.
Right? That is the corruption here in this specific use case that we're talking about. So what they did was, firstly, they made like a whole lot of awareness campaigns and advertisements about how the product will be made available to everybody very soon. And they didn't spend too much time in making it available to people. Right? So they had the stock ready, and within a few weeks or a few days or something, they actually rolled out the product to all the villages. Right? So it's not that one village feels, oh, I'm not going to get the product, and they freak out and they think, okay, let me buy 10 instead of one, something like that. Right? So just give me a moment, sorry. 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, sorry about that. So what I was saying was that so these people might feel like, oh my god, I'm not going to get the lamp, so it's okay, at least now I have it available for 150 rupees, let me buy it at 150 rupees. And then people are making profit off of it, and that's kind of like not the point of the product, because the point is for those people to actually use the lamp and not go around selling it to other people, the same lamp. Right? So what they did was they made the whole campaign such that people know, all the villages, that everybody will get it. मतलब कोई रह नहीं जाएगा उसमें, and that you will all get it within just a few days. It's not like one person is getting it now, another is getting it 5 months later. So they may think, what will I do for 5 months? So let me buy it now itself. पता नहीं 5 महीने बाद मिलेगा भी कि नहीं मिलेगा. So those kind of things come in. So the first thing, they made the lamp available to everybody within a very short period of time. Secondly, they informed everybody that everybody will get it. It's not that you will be left out or something like that. And these are like the main leaks, ways in which people can kind of indulge in corruption or something like that. So this is how they actually, there's no 100% foolproof method, but this approach was based on understanding the mentality, the mental setup, the constraints, the requirements of the users, so that they don't need to sell the lamp, right? And also, like, this is not like a part of this whole corruption thing, but also that they were also giving employment to people. So it was the local people who were involved in the building and all that. So they knew that the lamp is getting made, that their own people are going and distributing it. So that was also like a part of their awareness thing, that okay, the local people are building it, the local people are selling it. So it's not like they know that it is happening. It's not that they've just promised something and disappeared or something like that, right? It's a local product. So when they are actually spreading awareness campaigns, at the same time people can also see that हाँ बन रहा है, हाँ अब स्कूल में एक स्कूल में बिका, फिर अब दूसरे में आ रहा है. So they can actually see that you're actually living up to your word also, right? Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm happy you got this question right. Question number 8. What do you think is community-based system dynamics? It's an approach. They've used this term in the video. Professor Jayendran uses it. So what does it include?
I'm not able to answer this.
So you have you watched this part of the video? Do you remember?
We forgot. Actually.
Okay, no problem. So I'll upload the solutions anyway, but I think it is better if you watch the video first because he explained it step by step. Now I can also explain it step by step, but it is basically a repetition of what he says. So I think if you watch the video and then if you don't understand, I will explain that part.
Okay.
Okay, because you've just forgotten what he has said. If it was some actual question you had, I would have answered it. But like I will upload the solutions anyway. But it's actually all of the above. So all these things he's actually explained each item in great detail in the video. So it's just better if you watch it first. It's in the last part of Professor Jayendran's
Okay.
bit in the video.
Yeah.
Okay. This question is a very good one. I think it's a good one at least. Question 9. What are the common problems of rural electrification? In India, of course, as per Professor Solanki. He says this in the very end of the video. What do you think? Okay, this question also I'm going to leave it to you because it's a very interesting question and I want you to take some time to think. If you want, you can try now. That's up to you. But I think this is a very interesting question, which I think you should have some time to think about also. Okay, so since
One
you're not
can I can try one. It means I can see the availability of fund is one problem.
no. So you watch the video because I
Okay.
think you are guessing right now. But he has explained why these problems are the real problems in the video. Again, the questions which I'm leaving out today, I will discuss this in the next class. Okay. And
Okay.
also, since in the next class, your assignment submission date would be kind of done. So the assignments in the course itself, which you guys have to submit, I will discuss the solutions for those also in the next class.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll take up maybe half an hour, 40 minutes just discussing all the assignments and the solutions wherever you have a problem. And the rest of it, I will discuss week 3 content. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. So I'll end this class here since I think we are more or less done with today's part. And please do watch those videos which I have asked you to watch today. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. See you next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.